Everywhere they go, Tottenham get battered. Everywhere they go, everywhere they go. 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. Let's get it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the championship!
Ha ha ha! Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic with me, Dennis P, for what is another Chelsea match review, but more specifically, a tactical synopsis of Chelsea's performance at Stamford Bridge against Tottenham Hotspur. But before I get into all that, I want to let you guys know about my sponsor. They go by the name of Major League Socks. And fellas, if you ever want to walk in the footsteps of greatness, you hear me say this every week, you know what to do. Hit them up. The link will be in description. Okay, so Chelsea played host to Tottenham Hotspur at Stamford Bridge on Sunday and emerged 2-0 winners, goal scorer Hakim Ziyech. What a way to win a derby. It's just so delicious. And then that was followed up by El Monstro. What a cushioned header. Once again, this guy, is there anything he can't do? World-class center back. Thiago Silva. Chelsea win 2-0. In this match review, we're going to be focusing on three things. We're going to look at Chelsea's tactical switch to a 4-3-3 and what made that look so effective against Tottenham Hotspur. We're also going to be looking at square pegs and square holes, players in their proper position, players playing into their strengths. We're also going to look at the intensity with the match. Obviously, it was a London derby, and the intensity level from one side was extremely high, whereas with the other side, it just couldn't match it. But we're going to talk about that and get into it. Okay, so today's a bit of an anniversary. This is about a year since Thomas Tuchel's taken over for Frank Lampard, and what a year it's been. Obviously, the Champions League, the Super Cup, and really just been able to galvanize the squad and get them to play, taking a bunch of mismatches and fitting them all together to suit a style that works for this club. For the longest time, we've been playing this 3-4-3 system that seemed to be impenetrable, not surrendering any goals whatsoever. But since we've lost our wingbacks, both Chilwell and Reece James, we've been having trouble finding the right balance in attack and in defense, and we've been leaking goals and we haven't been scoring a lot. So Thomas Tuchel, being the tactician that he is, has finally started to tinker with the lineup and, a fail-safe lineup. Obviously, the 3-4-3 was very successful for us. We tried the 3-5-2 with varying levels of success and failure. And today we tried the 4-3-3 after, two successful performances in a 4-box-2 against Tottenham in the Cup. Thomas Tuchel decides to change it again, goes to a 4-3-3, 4-1-4-1, however you want to look at it. I look at it as a 4-3-3 because I think that when you play with 2 8s in Mason Mount and Kovacic, they're not necessarily looking to, be advanced 10s. They're looking to be more 8s. So it looked like a 1-6 in Jorginho, 2 8s, and then you had the two wingers, 2 out-and-out wingers in Callum Hudson-Odoi and Ziyech to formulate that 4-3-3 with, of course, Romelu Lukaku up top. Much of the talk in Chelsea circles the last little while, maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks, has been whether or not Chelsea can effectively switch their shape to a back 4 and play with a solo 6 in Jorginho, based on the fact that he doesn't really possess the necessary pace, power, and commitment and defensive acumen overall to effectively sit in that role and mop things up the way a traditional number 6 would. A lot of what people say is that the reason why Chelsea is struggling is because we're building a system around Jorginho to, basically mask his deficiencies and exalt his strengths to getting on the ball, keeping things ticking over and whatnot. Well, the loss of our wingbacks the last little while, we've had to again accommodate our shape to basically fit the needs of the squad. And today, of course, Thomas Tuchel went to a 4-3-3 and he actually played Jorginho in the sitting 6, not too dissimilar to what he's done at Napoli. Jorginho under Maurizio Sarri was very much a holding 6 that whole time as well. Again, we variated the shape and gave the Spurs something else to think about. Obviously, in the 2 cup games, we played the 4-box-2, and we had that numerical advantage in the midfield that basically overwhelmed them. Again, we played with a numerical advantage in the midfield with Jorginho, Mason Mount, and Kovacic, and I just felt like we had the right complemented players and players in the right socket, in the rightful positions, playing at top levels. When you play that 4-3-3, what you're looking for, like obviously when you watch what Spurs were doing throughout the entire match, is basically they're trying to keep Jorginho from getting on the ball. But at the same time, when you're keeping Jorginho from getting on the ball, you're making it more so that other players that you would like to see on the ball, ball, have more touches, the likes of Mason Mount, the likes of Hakim Ziyech, the likes of Kovacic, the likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi. They focused so much of their attention on keeping Jorginho off the ball, and it liberated people like Kovacic, Mount, and like I said, Ziyech to get on the ball and start dictating play from there. And we saw some fantastic performances as a result. None more so than the likes of Hakim Ziyech, who I thought was the man of the match, quite simply. Just played a fantastic game, was able to really play his natural role as obviously a winger and inside forward. And he was just magnificent, not just his goal, but his work rate off the ball. You can see that he was really comfortable there. He won a lot of tackles, won a lot of balls high up the pitch and whatnot, and was just really aggressive the entire match. I don't know what got into him in particular, but this shape change to 4-3-3, where he's playing in his natural role, basically brought out the best football that we've seen in him in quite some time. His best football at Chelsea, probably, with the exception of maybe the Burnley game sometime last year under Frank Lampard. But like I said before, you're looking at this shape and you're seeing that Thomas Tuchel is now just playing players where they naturally fit. Mason Mount came a little bit deeper and was able to, run at defenses the way he likes to do it. Same with Kovacic. Granted, we had more presence in the final third. You had obviously Ziyech, Lukaku, Callum Hudson-Odoi, you had Mason Mount, you had obviously Kovacic, and then when we wanted to overload on the right, most of the overloads occurred on the right. We brought Azpilicueta a little bit further forward, and he was able to provide just another option on the right flank there. Not that he was very effective there, I would say, but the fact that it gave the Spurs something else to think about when we were in there, pressed up high in their final third. I thought that seeing that extra body come forward gave a lot more options for the likes of Mason Mount to get into the box, who I basically thought had a free role. As much as I do mark him as a number 8, he basically was in a free role for the most part, because there's times where you saw him all over the pitch just with no real consideration for his positional awareness and whatnot. He was basically in a free role. But overall, I think this is a system that Chelsea can use going forward. When you don't have wingbacks and you don't have natural width from that wingback position, when you have Alonso, Malang Sarr, or Azpilicueta, it's better to use natural wingers there, and push them up the pitch. Use the width that way with players that actually know how to play with width. The likes of Callum Hudson-Odoi, the likes of Ziyech, the likes of Pulisic, for instance. I think what Thomas Tuchel is recognizing and realizing once again is what this squad is all about. And, obviously without wingbacks, we can't necessarily be force-feeding, the likes of Alonso and Azpilicueta at teams every day, every game, week in, week out, because, it's just going to get snuffed out. They just don't offer enough forward and backwards. To be honest with you, wingback in itself requires so much energy up and down the pitch. And, you have to be so versatile at getting in the final third and also defending at a high level as well. And, the likes of Azpilicueta and Alonso just don't play that way anymore. They just don't have the ability to play that way, that versatility that you need in that position. So what Thomas Tuchel did was he basically played with a flat back four with Azpilicueta, the occasional overload every now and then, and, basically allowed for Malang Sarr, who played left back today, and really didn't offer a lot going forward. He was basically there to just play flat back four, old school football, no overlapping fullbacks whatsoever. Just stay in the back and allow the attackers to do what they do best, and it worked again to perfection. Thomas Tuchel once again exalting the strengths of the team and masking the deficiencies where we don't have width from the fullbacks, we don't have natural width from wingbacks. He basically puts more attackers onto the pitch and allows them to play in their preferred role. And I think that that's what we need to do going forward. Now, I did want to touch on this natural position thing, just, where I think these guys naturally fit the team. For the longest time, it seems like we're trying to fit these square pegs in round cylinders, seeing Hudson-Odoi playing at wing back. We saw Ziyech there a few times, Pulisic there, Mason Mount playing as an attacking number 11. We saw all sorts of different shapes and whatnot. And, I think ultimately what it comes down to is Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel just have to play to the strengths of the individuals. We can't be looking for versatility from players that don't possess it. You can't be asking Ziyech to play as a wingback when he's basically an out-and-out winger. Same for Callum Hudson-Odoi. I understand that there is something to be learned when you play in some of these different roles. Like for Callum Hudson-Odoi, when he leaves his wing exposed, he now knows what it feels like when you have like 2 and 3 attacking players just running at you, and you're isolated as a wingback. But I think that young footballers in particular need to be put into the role that they're most comfortable in, especially when they're struggling to find their football. The longest time, the last few weeks, man, I've been saying that Chelsea have been rotated out of chemistry, rotated out of form, like players playing all over the pitch and nowhere near their proper positions. And today was a different take on that. Like, I think that Thomas Tuchel finally decided to play these guys where they naturally belong. We saw obviously Hakim Ziyech on the right flank playing the way we saw him at Ajax, how devastating he was at Ajax. The very early parts of the season under Frank Lampard, before he got injured, I'm sure everyone was saying that Hakim Ziyech was our best attacker. He just did things on the ball that we weren't seeing from the other players on the squad. And, we saw a return to that today. His distribution was fantastic. His work rate was fantastic, as I said before. He was my man of the match, as I said before. And, like he looked lively throughout the match. Like from minute 1 till he was subbed off later on in the game, he was the most lively member not named Mason Mount. And this is what you get. These are the performances you get when you get motivated players playing in their proper positions. Same could be said about Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't know if he had like a great first half. I mean, he felt like he was a little bit timid, still trying to find his way throughout the game and whatnot. But as he grew into it, especially in the second half, you saw performances from him that you would expect from Callum Hudson-Odoi. He was very, very effective in getting up and down the pitch, very, very effective in investigating space, which is what you want him to do. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a dribbler, and when he's not taking people on, he's not trying to get into the final third and like investigate space and whatnot and put in that telling cross, then he's not going to be an effective footballer. That's his strengths. That's what you want to see him doing. And when you see him in his natural role, you see more of that come to the fore. But again, with the likes of Mason Mount in that number 8, number 10 position, we're seeing, he was fantastic again as well. Like, just seeing him, the energy that he provides, you miss that in the midfield. Ability to get up and down the pitch that Mason Mount can provide. And I thought he was brilliant today. Not only getting on the half turn and, playing in balls and like, testing the keeper from distance and whatnot. Like, these are all the things that he used to do consistently, under Frank Lampard as a number 8 and whatnot. And I really want to see more of that from him, because I really do believe that, like I said, when you've lost your way a bit, and for Mason Mount, obviously it was down to more fatigue than anything, but when you lose your way a bit, you want to be put back in a role where you're more familiar and where you can find your football again and just like start building again. And I feel like today was a perfect example of that, like Mason Mount finding his football again and playing at that level that we're normally used to seeing him at, at 7.5, 8, that's where we want to see him every game. And I thought he was fantastic. Now, the one thing you have to have when you're playing in a derby is, regardless of if it's against the Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, even West Ham, you just have to be able to meet the intensity of the match. You have to meet it. And today we saw Chelsea come out flying from minute 1. And that's what I want to see, like winning first balls, winning second balls, beating the Spurs in every way, every fashion. Like, the intensity level of this match was extremely high. And I think that a lot of Chelsea players were taking their cues from the young number 8, from Mason Mount. I felt like he matched the intensity of this game from minute 1 right on. He set the tempo for it, and Chelsea just followed his lead. There's a lot of reasons why people think that he could be a captain someday. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel did give him the armband in a cup last year. But I really do believe that these are the types of performances why, people revere Mason Mount. Like, he always comes through in these big matches, playing at the right intensity level. Like, obviously, the last little while we've seen his level drop a bit. And who knows, maybe that could just be down to fatigue and just being a little bit jaded. But, a game against the Spurs, if there's ever a game to find your game again, it's going to be a derby at home against the Spurs. And, the intensity throughout the squad was just really, really good. People, diving into tackles. You saw guys, 1-2 touch passes, like playing, moving the ball with pace and power. seeing guys like Hakim Ziyech winning tackles all over the pitch and, just playing at the right intensity level. Like, this is not something that you're normally used to seeing from the likes of like even Hakim Ziyech, You just don't see that, Whoever it was that was in the dressing room and, just basically charged up the troops to come out and play with that sort of intensity level, that commitment, that drive, that determination in a London derby against the Spurs, also deserves a man of the match accreditation from me, because, that is what you need in these games to come through victorious. Like, if you come out labored and like, you're not necessarily, really looking to, you're playing cautiously, you're not necessarily like, looking to impose yourself against your opponent, chances are you're going to lose matches like that or draw. But I do think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea, victorious once again, 2-0 over the Spurs. That's 4 times this season, twice in the Cup, twice home and away in the league. My goodness, it's happy days. Whenever you can beat those guys, man, it's happy days, and the return to form of Mason Mount, the return to form of Hakim Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi putting in the performance. We didn't even really speak about it, but like, come on. Is that a way to win a derby? That is the way you win a derby match. A goal from Hakim Ziyech like that. That is just quality. What a strike. It's going to be one that's going to be remembered for a while. We're going to see that in the highlight clips for quite some time. Just perfectly struck and finds the top shelf. And not to be outdone, obviously, Thiago Silva, what a beautifully cushioned header, finds the corner. And, what can you say about that guy? Just world class. Every time he steps on the pitch, just exudes class. And, his ability is just permeating throughout the squad. I think that he liberates Rudiger, he protects Malang Sarr, and he just gives us so much confidence back there. Like, that's what you want from a center back. That's what a world-class center back does. But we move, man. Again, like, some unbelievable performances. Like, who would have thought that Chelsea would have been playing, 4 different systems in the entire year? Like, more often than not, you see maybe 2 outside chance of 3. We played 3-5-2, we played 3-4-3, we played 4-box-2, and now we played the 4-3-3 all under Thomas Tuchel, and not with a whole lot of time to train either, because we've been playing matches one every 3 days or something like that. So hats off to him for being able to like vary the shapes, keep the team, be able to like articulate what it is you want on the pitch with all these varying shapes and stuff like that, and getting performances at the same time. This guy is of another level in management. He's of that top level. Conte has not lost 3 times to one manager in his career until he met Thomas Tuchel. Same could be said for Pep Guardiola. He's not lost 3 matches to one manager until he met Thomas Tuchel. So just goes to show you the level of performances this guy's getting out of his clubs, getting out of the squad, and again with these variations all the time. Like, he's the master at just figuring out what the squad needs and putting them in positions to win, exalting the strengths of the squad. Once again, the 4-3-3 was another example of that. We don't have wingbacks, folks. Why are we playing with wingbacks when we don't have them? Get the wingers on the pitch, let them do what they do best. We saw that today, and Chelsea were victorious as a result of it. Long may that continue. And now we just got to start, bringing back in like one piece at a time. The Kai Havertz, the Werners, and the Pulisic as well. And when you think about it, like, even to this moment, there's people that are still upset at the fact that Kai Havertz is not seeing minutes in favor of Lukaku. And I mean, it's Thomas Tuchel that's picking the squads, guys. Like, he's doing it because he wants to see some sort of cohesion assembled around the squad right now. That's why nobody would have thought that, Hakim Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Lukaku would have been playing today. Everyone and their mother would have thought that, Kai Havertz would have played with the outside chance of maybe Werner. Obviously, Mount was coming back in. But nobody. And again, as much as Lukaku is probably the one misfit that hasn't been firing, and since he's given that interview, he's kind of fallen off. He's put a lot of pressure on himself. The thing is, we all know that if we do not have a firing Romelu Lukaku, we do not do anything this year. So it's important for Tuchel to keep playing him into form, keep finding a cohesion, keep trying to establish a chemistry rather than chopping and changing. So I'm very glad that he did that today, and we saw some performances from the wingers and of course our number 8s today. Thomas Tuchel, man. Wow, but we move. You know, this is a period where Chelsea get into the cups again. We're going to play in, I guess it's Plymouth Argyle in the cup, in the FA Cup. And then from there, we go to Dubai to play in the Club World Cup. And I think this is another chance for Chelsea to just leave the Premier League alone, the frenetic pace of it, and just, you know, find themselves in some of these cup games. You know, go to Dubai, you know, recharge a little bit more, and come back to the Prem feeling a little bit more pressed, you know, a little bit more relaxed and whatnot. Hopefully with a Club World Cup under their belt as well. So, you know, this is a very important period. You know, like bring the squad together, a chance to galvanize. You go away together. Away dates are always good for galvanizing a squad. So hopefully that's just something that happens here today, going forward. But guys, I'm excited. Like I said, 4 times we beat the Spurs in one season is something that needs to be celebrated every time we do it. And long may it continue. But guys, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high and up the Chels. Peace.